Hey everyone, welcome back to week 13 in the NFL. And this week we went 10 and 5. I do believe last week was 9 and 5, so we have a tendency to hover around 4 to 5 losses every week, or incorrect picks, I should say. Starting off on Thanksgiving, the early game, Green Bay at my Lions. I thought my Lions would pull this one out, have a little bit of a revenge game, but unfortunately that did not happen. And they swept us this year. I had my concerns about this team, and I think they were correct, but that's all right. You can't have great years every year. Jordan Love was 18 of 30 for 234 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Josh Jacobs had 17 carries for 83 yards, no touchdowns. And Tavion Wicks had 6 catches for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. Goff was 20 of 26 for 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Gibbs had 20 carries for 68 yards, no touchdowns. David Montgomery finally got in the end zone after a few weeks. And J-Mo had 7 catches for 144 yards, 1 touchdown. Amon-Ra left in the first quarter with a ankle injury, I do believe. I don't know if he's going to play next week or not, but that pretty much sums up our season. The 4 o'clock game, Kansas City at Dallas. We picked Dallas. We were right on that one. Mahomes was 23 of 34 for 261 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Kareem Hunt had 14 carries for 58 yards, no touchdowns, and Rashee Rice had 8 catches for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dak was 27 of 39 for 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. And Javonte Williams had 17 carries for 59 yards, no touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb had 7 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown. And Dallas pulls off the win at home, 31-28. Cincinnati at Baltimore. We picked Baltimore, and I don't even think they tried, because we were wrong. And this was Joe Burrow's first game back, I do believe. He went 24 of 46 for 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Chase Brown had 15 carries for 79 yards, no touchdowns. And Jamar Chase had 7 catches for 110 yards, no touchdowns. Lamar was 17 of 32 for 246 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Derrick Henry had 10 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown, and Isaiah Likely had 5 catches for 95 yards, no touchdowns. Final score 32-14 Cincinnati. The Black Friday game, Chicago at Philadelphia. I picked Philly. We got it wrong. Caleb Williams was 17 of 36 for 154 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Kyle Monangai had 22 carries for 130 yards and a touchdown. And Cole Kmet had 3 catches for 36 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts was 19 of 34 for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And Saquon had 13 carries for 56 yards, no touchdowns. A.J. Brown had 10 catches for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Chicago is first place in the NFC. I don't think anybody saw that coming with how they were last year. But props to them and Ben Johnson. That son of a bitch. Arizona at Tampa. I picked Arizona to win. I don't know if Baker played, but I guess we'll find out in a second. Jacoby Brissett was 29 of 40 for 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Bam Knight had 11 carries for 62 yards, and Trey McBride had 8 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. Baker did play. He went 18 of 28 for 194 yards and a touchdown. And Bucky Irving had 17 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. Chris Godwin had 3 catches for 78 yards, no touchdowns. I don't know if he was injured and he's back now or what. Tampa wins this one at home 20-17. The Falcons at the Jets. I picked the Jets, and lo and behold, we were correct. Kirk Cousins was 21 of 33 for 234 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Bijan Robinson had 23 carries for 142 yards, 1 touchdown. And Kyle Pitts Sr. had 7 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. Tyrod Taylor was 19 of 33 for 172 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. And Breece Hall had 19 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown. Adonai Mitchell had 8 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown. The New York Jets with a walk-off field goal, 27-24. The Texans at the Colts. I picked the Houston defense to shut down the Colts, and we were correct. C.J. Stroud, his first game back, he was 22 of 35 for 276 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. And Woody Marks had 19 carries for 64 yards, no touchdowns. And Nico Collins had 5 catches for 98 yards. Daniel Jones was 14 of 27 for 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Jonathan Taylor had 21 carries for 85 yards, no touchdowns. And Alec Pierce had 4 catches for 78 yards and a touchdown. I do believe Daniel Jones got hurt this week, but I do not know how severe it is. But Houston wins it in Indianapolis, 20-16. Jacksonville at Tennessee. Didn't really waste a whole lot of time on this pick. Pick Jacksonville, got it correct. Trevor Lawrence was 16 of 27 for 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Travis Etienne Jr. had 12 carries for 28 yards, no touchdowns. And Jacoby Myers had 6 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. Cam Ward was 24 of 38 for 141 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Tony Pollard had 10 carries for 60 yards, no touchdowns. And Chig Okonkwo had 4 catches for 29 yards, no touchdowns. Tennessee falls to 1-11. Final score 25-3, Jacksonville. The red hot Los Angeles Rams at the Panthers. We picked the Rams, and quite the upset that Carolina pulled, because we were wrong. Stafford was 18 of 28 for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and I do believe he fumbled near the end of the game and never got the ball back. Blake Corum had 7 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. And Xavier Smith had 3 catches for 82 yards, no touchdowns. Bryce Young was 15 of 20 for 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Chuba Hubbard had 17 carries for 83 yards, no touchdowns. And Jalen Coker had 4 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown. Final score 38-21, Carolina. The Saints at the Dolphins. We picked the Dolphins. Another game, didn't really waste a whole lot of time on, but we got it correct. Tyler Shaw was 26 of 38 for 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Devin Neal had 14 carries for 47 yards, no touchdowns. Kamara must have been hurt. Devon Valet had 8 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown. Tua turned the ball over, was 12 of 23 for 157 yards. No touchdowns, but a pick. Go figure. Devon Achane had 22 carries for 134 yards and a touchdown. And Darren Waller had 2 catches for 47 yards, no touchdown. Final score 21-17, Miami. The Niners at the Browns. I picked the Niners. We were correct. Brock Purdy was 16 of 29 for 168 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. CMC had 20 carries for 53 yards and a touchdown. And George Kittle had 4 catches for 67 yards and no touchdown. Shedeur was 16 of 25 for 149 yards and a touchdown, no picks. And Quinshon Judkins had 23 carries for 91 yards, no touchdowns. Harold Fannin Jr. had 3 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown. Final score 26-8, San Francisco. Minnesota at Seattle. We picked Seattle. We were correct. With J.J. McCarthy out, Max Brosmer at the start. He was 19 of 30 for 126 yards, no touchdowns, but 4 interceptions. Jordan Mason had 6 carries for 47 yards, no touchdowns. And TJ Hawkinson had 6 catches for 59 yards, no touchdowns. I still can't believe the Lions lost to this team, but it is what it is. Sam Darnold was 14 of 26 for 128 yards, no touchdown, no picks. Kenny Walker III had 13 carries for 56 yards, no touchdowns. And A.J. Barner had 4 catches for 35 yards, no touchdowns. Final score 26-0, Seattle. I don't know when the last week was that we had a shutout, but we had one this weekend. Buffalo at Pittsburgh. I picked Buffalo to win and get right back on track, and we were correct. Josh Allen was 15 of 23 for 123 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and I think he broke the record for rushing touchdowns for a QB or something. James Cook III had 32 carries for 144 yards, no touchdowns. He was also their leading receiver with 3 catches for 33 yards, no touchdown. Perk Rogers was 10 of 21 for 117 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. And Jaylen Warren had 10 carries for 35 yards and a touchdown. Darnell Washington had 2 catches for 45 yards, no touchdown. Final score 26-7, Buffalo. The Raiders at the Chargers. We picked the Chargers, and we were correct. Geno Smith was 18 of 23 for 165 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Ashton Genty had 15 carries for 31 yards, no touchdowns. And Brock Bowers had 4 catches for 63 yards and 2 touchdowns. Justin Herbert was 15 of 20 for 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Kimani Vidal had 25 carries for 126 yards and a touchdown. And Ladd McConkey had 4 catches for 39 yards and a touchdown. For the final score, 31-14, Chargers. Sunday night football, Denver at Washington. We picked Denver. I do believe Pat Surtain II was back, and we got it correct. This game did go into overtime, and the Commanders went for 2 to win it in overtime and did not convert. Bo Nix was 29 of 45 for 321 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. R.J. Harvey had 13 carries for 35 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Evan Ingram had 6 catches for 79 yards, no touchdowns. Marcus Mariota was 28 of 50 for 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He was also their leading rusher with 10 carries for 55 yards, no touchdowns. Zach Ertz had 10 catches for 106 yards, no touchdowns. Final score 27-26, Denver. Finishing up the week, Monday night, we had the New York Giants at the New England Patriots. We picked the Patriots and we got it right. They were the first team with 11 wins this year. I think they won 10 straight. Jackson Dart was 17 of 24 for 139 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. I believe it was his first game back after concussion. Devin Singletary had 12 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown. Darius Slayton had 2 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. And Drake, probably the MVP after Stafford's last game, was 24 of 31 for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Travion Henderson had 11 carries for 67 yards, no touchdown. And Hunter Henry had 4 catches for 73 yards, no touchdown. Final score 33-15, New England. And what I want to do now, after I make my picks for next week, or this week, I want to look at the current playoff standings and go through who's eliminated and whatnot. So we are going to jump over to that. You'll have to forgive me, my wireless mouse died and I had to get a wired one. So if you hear the click, that's why. Week 14 starting off Thursday night. The Cowboys at the Lions. I hate Dallas, so I'm always going to pick against them when my team, I'm going to pick my team every time. If we drop this game, our playoff hopes are looking slim. But I'm choosing my Lions. Cincinnati at Buffalo should be a fun game. I'm going to take Buffalo, though. The Colts at the Jags. I'm not good with my divisions when it comes to the AFC. So I don't know if these guys played each other or not. I don't think they're the same division, but I don't know. Daniel Jones has that injury, but they still have Jonathan Taylor, and I'm going to take them. The Dolphins at the Jets. I'm going to take the Jets. Because why not? The Saints at the Bucks. I'm going to take the Bucks. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. I think Baltimore takes this one and Lamar finally throws a touchdown. He hasn't done that in like 3 weeks or something. The Seahawks at the Falcons. I'm going to take the Seahawks. The Titans at the Browns. Tennessee has a chance to get their second win, but I doubt they do, and Myles Garrett might break the sack record just on this game alone. Washington against the dumpster fire in Minnesota. I'm going to take Washington. The Broncos at the Raiders. I'm going to take the Broncos. Chicago at Green Bay. I don't want any of them to win, but we beat Chicago earlier in the year. They're currently the number 1 seed, and I would rather see them win over Green Bay. So there's that. The Rams at the Cardinals. I'm going to take the Rams. They get back on track after that Carolina loss. Houston at Kansas City. The way Houston's defense has been playing, I think Houston gets the upset. And I think I read if Kansas City loses this game, their playoff odds or chances are like less than 10% or something like that. So a postseason without Kansas City would be very interesting. So I'm taking Houston. The Eagles at the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert got surgery on his hand, but he should be good to go. And I'm going to take Philly, even though I don't want to. Okay, that was our Week 13 review. And our Week 14 picks. The teams that are off this week. This is the last week, the last bye week. The 4 teams that are off are the Patriots, the Giants, the Niners, and the Panthers. This is the current standings. Chicago's the 1 seed. The Rams have a tiebreaker over Seattle, but Chicago wins the tiebreaker over the Rams on their conference record. The Rams have the tiebreaker over Seattle on their head-to-head. So the 1 seed is Chicago, and then it's the Rams, Philly, the Bucks, Seahawks, the Packers, the Niners are the 7 that are in right now. And then it's the Lions, the Cowboys, the Panthers, the Falcons. Atlanta wins the tiebreaker over Minnesota on the head-to-head. Arizona wins the tiebreaker over Washington on conference record. AFC, it's the Patriots and the Broncos, and then Jacksonville, who has the tiebreaker over the Colts on common games. Baltimore has a tiebreaker over Pittsburgh on common games. The Chargers have a tiebreaker over the Colts and the Bills on conference record. And the Colts have the tiebreaker over Buffalo on conference record. And then the 7th seed is the Bills. And then the Texans, Pittsburgh, Kansas City. Pittsburgh has the tiebreaker over Kansas City on the conference record. I do have another website pulled up for a better look at the current playoffs. These are the elimination scenarios entering this week. If the Vikings lose, Minnesota is eliminated from the playoffs. If they lose or if they tie and Green Bay wins or ties. The Commanders are eliminated from the division title contention and playoff contention if they lose or tie, or if Philly wins / ties. The Falcons are knocked out of the division title if they lose or if they tie and Tampa wins or ties. They are also, Atlanta is eliminated from playoff contention if they lose or if they tie, Tampa wins or ties, they're eliminated from playoff contention if they lose or if they tie, Tampa wins or ties, and Green Bay wins or ties. Dallas is knocked out of the number 1 seed contention if they lose, plus the Rams win, plus the Seahawks win, or if they lose, plus the Rams win, plus Seattle ties, plus Chicago wins. For the AFC, the Jets are eliminated from playoff contention if they lose or tie, or if Houston wins and Buffalo wins / ties, or if Houston wins plus Jacksonville and Indiana tie, or Indianapolis, or if Buffalo wins / ties plus Jacksonville wins plus ties. The Browns are eliminated from the division title contention and playoff contention if they lose. Kansas City is knocked out of the AFC West title contention if they lose and Denver wins or ties, or if Kansas City loses plus the Chargers win, or if Kansas City ties plus the Broncos win. They're also knocked out of the number 1 seed contention if they lose or tie. Baltimore is knocked out of the number 1 seed contention if they lose or tie. Same with Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh loses or ties, they are knocked out of the number 1 seed contention. Here's a little better look at how the playoffs currently sit. 1 seed, the AFC standings are Patriots, Broncos, Jags, Ravens, Chargers, Colts, Bills. NFC, it's Bears, Rams, Eagles, Bucks, Seahawks, Packers, Niners. Teams on the bubble for the AFC, it's the Texans, Steelers, Chiefs, Dolphins, Bengals, and Jets, and Browns. NFC, it's the Lions, Cowboys, Panthers, Falcons, Vikings, Commanders. And the teams that are already eliminated from playoff contention, for the AFC, it's the Raiders and Titans, and for the NFC, it's the Cardinals, Saints, and Giants. And there's also like playoff probability odds, but I'm not going to read all that. So that sums up our week 13 and what we're looking forward to in week 14. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening. I hope you get some well-needed rest or relaxation. And I will see you in the next one.